Hello, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, good evening. Welcome to the SS Chandhok Talk Show. I'm your host and moderator, SS Chandhok. Today, I'm very happy because I'm having very eminent guests from different parts of the country. Without taking any time, I will introduce you to the very first eminent guest. We have Abhishek Chaturvedi, sir. He's a director of NLK Group of Schools, Kanpur. Welcome, sir. Sir is the director of NLK Group of Schools, Kanpur. He's looking after 10 schools, which include CBSE, ICSE, and state board schools under his umbrella. He is also the board member of the NEEP Schools, Bangalore, which is IB board. He's also working with NCAER and ICAP and has good professional experience in these fields. He has done his MBA and by profession is company secretary. And again, sir is associated with so many associations on national and international level, as well as he has received so many awards on national and international level. Because I know him personally, he's from Kanpur, and that's my good luck. That sir is from my city, and I've been seeing that he's so versatile, handling so many schools with the different boards, and now the different places along with Kanpur, he's handling up schools in, Bangalore, with the different boards and with the different concepts, with the free structures and the parents also. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, Abhishek, sir, for coming. We will like to know about your journey as an educationist. How are you handling the schools? How do you feel when you move up with the kids and the different state boards, as well as, ICSE, CBSE, and IB? Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sarpreet, for inviting me. So I'm not a frequent person who is attending all these shows. The first time I agreed to be on one of the forums. So that's my pleasure always. So I finished my company secretaryship in 2001, and in 2002 came into the education sector totally. So we are in Kanpur running the lower middle class schools, and in all these schools, two schools are totally 100% free fees. We are providing them, the Pune Devi Khanna Girls Inter College and the HLK Inter College, one for boys and one for girls. We are not charging a single penny over there, and government is helping us into that particular thing also. The building and other infrastructure is ours. Government is providing the salary and the other resources. And remaining 8 schools also, we are running into very lower fee model over there. And we built all these schools in different years altogether, from 2002 to 2004, some schools, 2006, 2009, 17. And recently we opened one CBSE school. It's a large campus. It's a closed engineering college. We converted that engineering college into the CBSE school. So now it's a fully affiliated 9th and 11th. We are starting this particular year, and we started that school in the COVID year. In the meantime, in 2006, we started the preschool chain in Bangalore in the name of NEEP Preschools. Now we are having the full continuum school over there, NEEP Yamlood. That's the NEEP Academy. It's the full IB board, PYP, MYP, and DP courses are running over there. So that's another sector which we are working into. So education is all about whatever we can give to the people. So we are running the Skill University also in the Vadodara in the name of Team Lee's Skill University. It's the first of its kind Skill University in India, and we were the first one who introduced that. So right now we are having around 1.25 lakh students in Vadodara University, and all the students are working in the different sectors across India. And we are paying them their stipend in terms of the minimum wages, whatsoever is necessary for them. So we are the big job provider also into that particular thing. So we are the part of the NCAER also. There's a National Applied Economic Research Forum. So we are trying how we can cope up with the economics or the other fields into the education sector, because India is changing and financial world is altogether changing. Other than the mathematics or sciences, there are a lot more scope, as Ashoka University, Flames, or Ahmedabad University right now is doing into. And it's not necessary for the students after passing the 12th to go abroad. India is also having the multiple options now. And Ashish Dhawan, Ashoka gave us that particular thing, the idea. And after starting that particular university in 2013-14, now it's altogether in a different ambit altogether. So other than the law and others, now the economics or the political science are the major field where a student can venture into and they can shape up their career as well into those fields. So that is all about me. So we are doing it with our team. In Kanpur, we are having around 600 and plus team. In Bangalore, we are having the 500 and plus team. So all people are working together, and we are all colleagues. With the help of all the colleagues, we are working into the right direction. Hope future, and this pandemic gave us too many lessons, but we are united and we are working. So we are hopeful that with the new education policy and things, the things will be better for the education sector as well. Thank you so much for it.
Amazing, sir. Amazing, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome from a company secretary to an accreditation. You are looking after so many schools. Hats off to you, sir. And thank you so much for sparing time. I had been seeing that you have never, you don't attend the sessions like this. And I'm very grateful that you accepted my, proposal for attending a session. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome, sir. Next, we have Dr. Amrita Vohra, ma'am. She is a Director Education of GEMS Education Gurugram. With over 25 years of transformative work in education, ma'am is a passionate learner and educator, currently serving as Director Education for GEMS Education India and Executive Principal for GEMS International School Gurugram, a PhD in English Literature and a certified program leader for Cambridge Professional Development. Qualifications for teachers and school leaders, a recipient of the QSI Gate RISC Fellowship by OP Jindal and Southampton University. She has helped set up and lead various schools as principal or as school improvement advisor, while serving earlier as head of academic research and training, and later as the head of professional development and quality assurance, and also as an active member of the GEMS Global Education team. She has worked with institutions like Educom Solutions, Global Classroom, and Opportunity International. Catering to over 100 franchisee and affiliated schools across India, she has traveled the country training teachers and school leaders, from workshops for diet principals in Kerala to budget private school owners in remote parts of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, West Bengal, and Haryana. She has been continuously trying to improve the K-12 education quality across the spectrum of government-aided, unaided, low-budget, middle market, and high-budget schools. With GEMS Education, she has set up various greenfield projects, developed policy manuals and quality standard frameworks, provided continuous mentoring and support to school leadership teams. Being a firm believer in joint practice development, she has set up professional learning, communication, both offline and online in schools. Her earlier experience with higher education as a faculty for undergraduate and postgraduate programs in women's studies, literature, feminist literary criticism, soft skills, and business communication adds to her perspective. She has contributed various articles and research papers and to diverse range of professional publications, and her personal blog, www.pendropsilence.in, is widely appreciated. She is also a Bharatanatyam dancer and has always been a keen interest in dramatic arts and drama in education. Her key research interests are women and child psychology, pedagogy, assessment, inclusive education, teachers' professional development, curriculum design, school improvement, and quality assurance, and early childhood education. Ma'am has been associated with so many associations on national and international levels, as well as she has received so many awards on national and international level. I think 3 to 4 rooms have been filled with that, and ma'am doesn't show it at all. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming again to us and you imparting your knowledge over here. Ma'am, from Bharatanatyam to the college to the Educom in the industry, then to the education and looking after so many schools. How do you get this energy? And please let us know that how this has happened in your career, as well as again we like to know about Pen Drop Silence.
Thank you, Chandhok ji. And I definitely need to share like a little brief wala profile with you, because you end up reading this whole thing and it's really, well, yes, I started out with higher education as a teacher, always was a teacher at heart. I think even as a kid, I was very used to getting all my little cousins in the joint family to sit together and I would start off. So wo bachpan se tha, but never really thought that I will be into schools. When my own son had to be in grade nursery, that's when I realized, and by then in higher education, I realized that certain skills that after these children are in college, having done their K-12, it is very tough to develop certain skills at that age. They're already in the master's programs, having qualified all those typical competitive exams and so on. But very basic things were missing. And that's what I kept feeling for those years in higher education. So when it came to my own son, it was like I ended up in a school where he ended up being the first student, and we ended up setting it up for EduComp solutions back in the day. Smart class was a new concept, so but then it was also very teacher centric. And I needed to create, and I knew it in my heart, I wanted to create things that were absolutely student centric in education. And I think that's what I set out to do. God has been kind. And I got the opportunity to work with some really good institutions. And it has been a journey of learning, especially with GEMS education over the last 9 years. I think I've just learned and learned and learned and learned. It's been wonderful. And here I am with all of you.
Amazing, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. And I mean, you do learn till the last breath you take. That is for sure. We are a learner still. Thank you so much, and welcome, ma'am, for sparing your time and coming to us. Next, we have Mr. Sukhwant Singh Thaper, sir. He is the principal of DPS Nigahi. He has a long experience of more than 3 decades with one of the most prestigious education institutions in the country, as I said, DPS. He has worked in DPS Korba as a teacher of English from 1st July 1987 to 1st September 1998, and working as principal since 18th September 1998 at DPS Nigahi till date. So sir is the same school from 1998 as a principal, and there's such a big long time he's there as a principal. More than 8 teachers, so many teachers they have worked under him have become, you know, the leaders in the various schools like DPS, DAB, Aditya Birla Public School and all. He has received so many awards covering with CBSE Best Teacher National Award 2013 and also on 2014 from the hands of Honorable SDR Minister, that is Smriti Irani. CBSE Resource Person for ELT project has inspected various schools on behalf of CBSE for granting extension and affiliation, keeping good, getting invited by various schools to motivate and guide their students and staff, conduct sessions on NEP 2020 for teachers and principals for both online and offline. He is a blogger as well as a vlogger. He has his own YouTube channel, Sukhwant Singh Thaper. I'll share the blog address also. And sir seems to be very simple, but he has knowledge of all the religious books. It may be Gita, it may be Quran, it may be Bible, it may be Guru Granth Sahib, and his notions or his explanations on the dohas are in English as well. When you'll visit his website or this is YouTube channel, you will find so versatile and knowledgeable person he is. And he will also be sharing some with us today also. Thank you so much, Thaper sir, for sparing time and coming over here. Sir, please let us know about you, you though we know from 1998, you are the principal of DPS. Let us know about your blog, sir, and blogs also.
Thank you, Sarpreet Singh, and all others who are there. Good evening to all of you once again. It's a great pleasure whenever you invite me to be part of your such gatherings. It's always a place where I learn a lot. And today also, I'm sure it's not going to be something different. There's so much learning which I look forward to from today's session, from all the luminaries whom you have invited. Well, my journey began somewhere in Odisha. My parents, after their marriage, they shifted to Odisha for their livelihood. When my father was 13 years old, mother was 5 years old, they had to shift from Rawalpindi, 17th August. They shifted to this part of our country. And then when they got married, they had to look out for their livelihood. They shifted to Odisha, and that was the place where my sister and we were born and brought up. It's a very small place, remote place, remote place of a country, and we didn't have big schools, but whichever school my parents, they sent both of us. One basic intention used to be that we should learn English. And we continued our school journey there in public school Jaipur and public school Sonabada. Somewhere in 1983, a branch of DPS had come up in Damanjodi. And that was the time when we had finished our schooling. So we used to feel that we missed the opportunity of studying in a school like DPS. But I never knew that in future I shall be joining this institute and will be part of this institute as a teacher. 87, I started my journey with DPS, and I was there at DPS Korba, which is now in Chhattisgarh. And there too, the year I joined, CBSE was into ELT project. They had initiated it somewhere in 88. I missed that because they had asked for a teacher who has taught in class 10 for 5 years. So I missed that opportunity which CBSE had provided. But somewhere in 93, 94, once again, when they started training the teachers for introducing interactive English, that was the time when Mr. S.K. Gangal, he picked me up from among the the course participants of Delhi College Indore, where we had gone to attend 11 days workshop. Then he requested my principal to spare me, and my principal, Dr. B. Singh, he was good enough to spare me to join the ELT project. So my journey started with them again with CBSE. And like overall, to make it very brief, my journey with DPS has been very interesting. And each year I find that there is something new for me to do. 98, society gave me the opportunity to come and lead this school, DPS Nigahi. This is a school in, it is sponsored by Northern Coalfields Limited, which is one of the subsidiaries of Coal India. And right from day one, there were challenges of different kinds. We had to introduce computers in 98 when the parents had to be convinced that computers will be good for their children. And somewhere in 2007-8, Educom came into the picture, and we had to do a lot of canvassing for Educom. Amrita ma'am, those were the days when we had to convince the parents that smart classes are good for their kids. So I had started convincing the parents, the management, but it took me some time. But in 2011, DPS Nigahi was forerunner in this, in the whole state of Madhya Pradesh. I think one school in somewhere in Bhopal, and we were the second one to introduce Educom smart classes in the school. So journey is going on, and now is the time where we have come through this COVID pandemic. There too, all of us face challenges, and we managed it with online sessions very well. And this is the time when now we are into introducing artificial intelligence. So every year, every phase has some challenges. And
Sir,
today,
when did it came into your mind to start up these blogs and blogs?
Well, somewhere, I think during the time of COVID time, when we were all at home, few of my children used to tell me that, sir, we are missing the morning assemblies. And like I used to address the morning assembly towards the end of it, about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I never take more than 5 minutes to address in the morning assembly. So my children told me, sir, we are missing your speeches. And then my daughter, she motivated me. She said, why don't you put your small recordings into YouTube and share them? And then she is the one who brought me to Instagram. So I am there, and I found it a little easier to share my views in smaller units. So
she's also influencer, sir. I think
she is also, yeah, she is into
influencer, and she's doing
she's
pretty
basically
well.
a dentist.
She's doing pretty well.
She's basically a dentist, but she is also an influencer.
Oh, great. That's great. She's doing pretty well in influencing also, sir. I had been seeing her that she's doing pretty well.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And welcome.
Thank you. And Saraprit, I would like to add over here one thing that today, by inviting me, I think you have picked up the wrong person, because mathematics is not my cup of tea, but I am here totally to learn from others today.
So
Thank
when we are talking about discussion about mathematics, it's not about solving the questions. People get afraid about that. We have to talk about what actually mathematics is and how can we make it more interesting for the children.
Sure.
We had been running away, maybe or may not be, but still we have to make our students get perfect in all the subjects. That is why in every season we are taking up some or the other topics or the subjects.
And
Thank you, sir.
already I'm inspired by Abhishek sir, Amrita ma'am, and looking forward to two other speakers. Let us hear
Thank
them
you so
out,
much.
and then we go
Thank
ahead.
you so much, sir, and welcome, sir.
So
Then we
I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
Same here also, man. Don't worry. I am also not from the maths background. I am from the commerce background. Totally running away from mathematics. But Abhishek sir is from mathematics background, I think so.
That's great.
Yeah, he's there. And Nirmal sir, because he's an expert, yeah, of course, he's there to help us all for the test paper we are having today. Thank you so much, Thaper sir. Next, we have Priyanka Bhatkoti ma'am. She is the principal of Maxfort School, Delhi. Ma'am is a renounced educationist, and she is very actively involved in the development of educational best practices in the country. An alumni of the prestigious convent of Jesus and Mary, Dehradun, she has taught at premium educational institutions in Panjim and Gujarat, a University of Cambridge CELTA qualified professional. She works with the belief that quality education can easily be made accessible and affordable for all. She's an acclaimed resource person for training teachers. She's a chapter head of the English Language Teachers Associations of India, Delhi West. She is keenly involved with the development of curriculum and assessment at CBSE and other premium development agencies, the recipient of many awards on the national and international level, as well as ma'am is associated with so many associations on national and international level. We welcome you, Priyanka ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Ma'am, please let us also know about your educational journey, ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you for alerting me. My educational journey has been an adventurous checkered mosaic, so to speak. My education is from Dehradun, and it was a wonderful journey growing up amongst the hills, because for those of you who've traveled to the hills, there is something in the air which does allow you to reflect, because when you're looking at the blue mountains, when you're looking at the sky, even the normal bus journey to the school was a fantastic journey of learning. And we would have students of different age group, different schools who were together. So it was not a chore to be in the bus journey. It was not a wastage of time. It was an exhilarating experience where you got to share stories of what's happening in school. Because at that moment, the electronic media was not so predominant. We had a single channel, Doordarshan, and a couple of programs were strongly awaited. So the paucity of choices made us look around in life much more. Yes, the real-time connection. Dehradun that I grew up in is the Dehradun that is of lychee orchards, colonial bungalows, a deep connection across the city where each one knew everyone. Now, in such an ecosystem where you value learning, where your parents are very strongly with the school, with you at every step of the way, and you are in an orchard of extremely renowned schools. So the students, we met across inter-school activities, inter-school competitions. We got to brainstorm tremendously. Be it the Doscos, be it the Velamites, be it the Sejamites, or the Josephites out there, and Thomsians. It was and still is an extremely active cauldron of mindsets which are being developed out there. Yes, the city may be small, but the stature is huge in the field of education, and our teachers and our mentors always walk tall. Still, they carry their influence in their own lives. So I find myself, echoing a lot of thoughts that my teachers gave them to me. Yes. The love of language was nurtured in the school. We had a fabulous library. The nuns encouraged it tremendously. Our English department was fantastic. They took time to talk, to deliberate, to extrapolate. And obviously, the love for language has been there throughout. But yes, I love mathematics and science as well, not just languages, because somehow at that point of time, there was a huge focus that teaching faculty had on connecting with children. Yes, we were taught in families and by our siblings. Like Amrita mentioned, I come from a wonderful joint family where our siblings only were our mentors, peer mentors, cross peer mentors across. So our parents never had to intervene. They only had to provide an environment, and that was already there. From there, when I started to work, my first opportunity was in a fantastic school, Sharda Mandir Panjim, located on Miramar Beach itself. Fabulous cohort of teachers out there. One school where you never had to remind about deadlines to any faculty. And the reason now when I reflect as a principal is that that school had a lot of industry experts who worked in various profiles and came back to teaching after having a plethora of experience in teaching by choice and choosing to be with children. So we had a lot of MBAs, a lot of corporate sets out there, and the kind of ecosystem that got built as a result, the kind of diversity which was there is amazing, you know. Yes, Panjim again, the beaches and the sea tend to motivate in a different manner because there is poetry all across, be it in the sky, be it at the beach out there. Students were fantastic. Football is almost a religion there, like cricket is throughout pan-India. And yes, there was another kind of synergy because English is almost the first language and Hindi and other languages become the second language. So people struggle with Hindi, and with English you pick up huge fluency and accuracy, and different dialects come across. So you become very quick and at figuring out who is from where. And as a teacher, you make those accommodations so that each child is taken care of. Again, in my journey as a teacher, I was given science and mathematics and the middle years. So Chandhok sir, I was very happy when I saw that this is going to be a discussion about mathematics. And yes, the middle years are a crucial linkage to taking mathematics on ahead. And when I taught the young adolescents or the pre-adolescents, whichever way you would call, grade 7 to 8, physics, science, and mathematics out there, there were a lot of connections that got fired up, stimulus and response. And now as a principal, when I connect the dot, it was a valuable laboratory for me to hands-on learn how teaching works, how understanding develops out there. Yes, wonderful mentors there, and amazing principal Nirmala Rebello, and how she nurtured, how she mentored. Now I am talking about the 1990s. These terms were not actively even in the vocabulary of the educational fraternity, where it was actually getting practiced. So that was fantastic. Yes, teachers who had taught all across the world coming together, brainstorming, this will work, that will work. So again, at that point of time, there were not many workshops pan-India, either in council or CBSE or IGCSE, but there the kind of experienced teachers, every day was a workshop for us to learn something new. Yes. So again, it was the turn of the century. A lot of things, path-breaking, innovations were coming in. I remember the first time the computers got installed out there, we had to make a PPT. And there were a couple of, for teachers, the challenge is you make the PPT and you forget to save it and the light goes and all your material is destroyed. So those were things that we learned. We took our baby steps, like trying to ride the bicycle. Yes, and each one did the hand holding. And then to have made one PPT itself was an achievement. And now you can make so many in one given day itself. From there, I went on to Ahmedabad, where I was chosen to be part of the core team. And again, Anand Niketan group of schools in Gujarat has a very high ranking. We worked in close association with the Galaxy Education System, and we did set up Anand Niketan satellite, and I was part of the international section there. So the IGCSE board, especially the PYP, is where we worked at very strongly. Again, the city itself is vibrant. The people are extremely generous out there, very forward looking. Yes, Gujarati language and family values are very strongly practiced. Yet, at that moment of time, as always, it's a very aspirational community. Anybody who's there knows that they want to go out across the world, if not across the planets. Yes, and we set up the international section where we brought in a lot of best practices, and we saw things come to fruition. It was a young school then. We carried out many innovative practices, and again that gave us a hands-on feel of what works, what is just rhetoric, and what we should keep filtered out from the school system. You know, when you have a young foundational ecosystem of a school setting up, it's a very valuable experience for any principal to get. You are not coming into a ready-made ecosystem, you are building it up from scratch, and that kind of experience, that kind of insight helps you throughout life. 2007, I came to Delhi, and I was fortunate enough that Maxfort School, Dwarka, New Delhi, gave me an opportunity to lead this organization. And our school was very young then, like is even now is the subsidiary of Dwarka, but again, a very fertile ground to practice the pedagogy of education, because a lot of fantastic people stay in this subsidy. We are all migrants, because this subsidy was hardly there before 1990. It was all plots. Yes, as the people came in, and the proximity to Gurugram out there has given us an amazing set of parent community who are corporates, who are bureaucrats, who are businessmen, again, who have a very clued in what is happening in the world. Again, we have by choice chosen to make the school an experiential school, a school that works very strongly with project-based learning. We in 2007 itself brought over the phonics program and were the forerunners in ensuring that literacy works in the foundational, what NEP is talking about now. We were already talking about in 2007, and we reaped a lot of rich dividends because of investing in language at early years, and also in mathematics. Two things we took care. We had the phonics program, we had the Jodo Gyan out there for foundational years, because young children do need those concrete experiences to make sense of with mathematics. And obviously that now we are a very recognized senior secondary school. This year we had the NTSC topper from Delhi, and we have brought in a lot of, thank you so much, Thaper sir, for that appreciation. But it's a team. Consistently, we were having at least 3 to 4 top positions in the top 50, but that number one was being very elusive. So this year, the team gave that as well, and we've rejoiced. The team is very hardworking there, and we do understand the importance of mathematics and technology, and that's why the new normal has been a part where we've rejoiced in all the best practices that we embedded from the setting up of the school itself, so we could reap. And the moment we became transparent, the brick and mortar disappeared to have a screen before the parent, and they saw exactly what was happening in our classes. The kind of enthusiasm and the kind of participation and collaboration that we've had has been fantastic. We just did the first PFM or the result declaration offline today, and parents really we were floored, because we didn't have to convince them or tell them. They say we know how we are working every day. So I think that's about technology, making it transparent, giving us strength at the same point of time, telling us that caution, that look, you are also accountable. It is not one way. Just because you occupy a seat does not mean you have all the power and all the authority. That the bigger the post, the bigger the responsibility. So here with teachers, the more the number of children that you are taking care of, the bigger the responsibility. So that gives you a sense of humility. you're a part of a bigger universe, and that opens you up to the possibilities that can be done. Yes, so that's it.
Amazing, ma'am. Amazing. You're doing a wonderful job, and Maxfort has a very pretty good name in Delhi and NCR. I think you have more branches also. How many branches we have, ma'am?
We're a standalone school. Sir, we are a standalone school here.
Okay.
And
okay.
We have our sister concerns in Gurugram out there.
Okay.
And we have our partnerships across India where on academic front, we do collaborate with a lot of premium schools so that we can share the best practices. Yes?
That's great, ma'am. That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And welcome, ma'am.
Saying something? Yeah, yes.
Next, we have Nirmal Shah, sir. He is the co-founder of Countingwell. This is a maths learning app for middle schoolers. The goal is to make maths learning easy, anxiety-free, and participative for children across the country. Their focus is to help the so-called average student becoming confident with maths and develop great problem-solving skills. We step in where school teachers are not able to provide personalized attention due to lack of time and bandwidth. He's also a designer career and life lesson courses for the 10 to 14 years age group built around maths. Kids must know that maths matters and it will matter throughout the life. The best way to do that is to show them how. He has over 2 decades of experience in various roles, including executive position in education, B2B marketplaces, IT consulting, and coaching and mentoring services. He has handled roles in serving delivery, product management and development, educational content, and curriculum development. Prior to starting Countingwell, he was a part of the founding team of Tescra, TESCRA, a US headquartered IT consulting firm. It was its managing director for Indian operations and senior vice president of global delivery and delivering services to Fortune 500 companies globally. At Tescra, he also co-founded another entity, Achnet, ACHNET, a marketplace for delivering coaching and mentoring service globally. I met Mr. Nirmal Shah in one of the episodes where we were attending as in speakers. And when I came to know about Countingwell, I welcomed him that, sir, you should come and let us know about this concept, because we had been seeing that during the middle school, the students, they have problem in mathematics. Till grade 5, they're very good at mathematics. But when it comes on the basic, that is 6, 7, 8, their level goes down. So he told me about the pros and cons and what are the things, are the places where the children get down and how this AI-based Countingwell app helps the students to, come up with the mathematics as a very interesting subject. Thank you so much, Nirmal sir, for coming on our invitation for a few episodes. Please introduce yourself about this Countingwell and how it is helpful to the students, because basically as a principal administrator, we see that children, they lose interest in the mathematics especially. Although I feel this is the easiest subject of all. I hope everybody will agree with me. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate you inviting me to this forum. There are stellar people here, and I think I am probably the odd man out, but I hope that I can add value to everybody here and other people who watch the show. So as far as Countingwell goes, my co-founder and we started talking about this idea about 5 years back. Him and I were just discussing about the challenges that our children are facing when it comes to learning maths. And as we were talking about it, we thought that this is something which everybody faces, which is primarily that when children learn mathematics, they tend to focus on the number operations. They tend to focus on calculations rather than trying to, one, understand the concept very well, and second, understand the things around mathematics. Things like, they need to have some language understanding. They need to be able to do some strategy to solve the problems. And these are the things which the children do not focus on so much, because their attention is that I need to solve today's set of problems today so that tomorrow I can go forward and solve the next set of problems and so on. So what we have been trying to do is that we created this platform where we said that we need to understand what the learning gaps of children are. And there are very specific gaps that we know they exist, because the focus is always on the number operations. And how do we help them go beyond that? How do we help the children understand that mathematics is more than just number operations? And at the same time, how can we even add value to schools and to teachers and say that this is where your students are having the learning gaps, this is where your children are facing the problems, and this is how we can help them overcome them. So that was the genesis of Countingwell. That was the basis with which we started. We said we will do an assessment first. We will try to identify these learning gaps. And we found that there were gaps around comprehension abilities. There were gaps around applying strategy to solve problems. And let's start with that. We did that. We did some pilots. So we spent about 2 or 3 years, my co-founder and I, just trying to understand and get a better feel of this whole industry, so to speak, right? When we say education industry, it's really more than an industry, but that's what we all call it. So, we tried to understand. We went to some schools, we sat with some students, we sat with some teachers, and tried to do a lot of pilots. And based on that, we created this whole platform. And we focused on the middle school because we feel that that is an area where the drop starts to happen. Up to class 5, it's really fun and play. The parents are also very, very involved with the children. They're not so much worried about marks. They're not so much worried about performance in mathematics. They just think that if we move forward, it is fine. In the middle school, the drop starts happening. We start seeing that whatever they did not learn well in the previous years is starting to affect them now. The other things which start affecting is that the parents are getting less and less involved because the concepts are becoming more complex. So with all of that, that snowball effect starts getting created. Then the anxiety comes and the children start saying that I don't like maths. From there, they start saying, I hate maths, right? So we want to help them bridge that gap. One, by making it anxiety free for them to learn. And second, also start creating content and giving them that exposure that whatever maths that they are learning is actually going to help them in their future life. Things like when they learn data handling, how do they actually start using that in their future? When they learn something like concept of profit and loss, or when they learn concept of interest, simple interest, compound interest, we read everywhere that things like, compound interest is very powerful. And when you invest your money and you put it in a compounding interest kind of investment, then you will earn much more. But the children don't understand that. You just calculate simple interest, you calculate compound interest, and you forget about it. Because by next month, you are learning a new concept. You are learning geometry. So interest is forgotten. Now I'm focused on geometry. So how do we bring all these kind of things and say that this is how it helps you in real life? So that's what we are building.
Amazing, sir. A very different and a good concept you have started up to help up the students. And basically, you have taken up the middle school. Instead of starting from the lower classes or the higher classes, you have hit the classes where actually the downfall of the mathematics starts. Obviously, it is very true. As a parent also, I'm saying that, suppose my son is in grade 8, maths has become so complicated, I'm not able to deal. I had been a student of or a teacher of my accountancy, commerce side. So now here the child needs to have interest. The interest will be created through the teacher, but if there are certain apps like Countingwell and all, they'll help the students also and teachers also to take up interest in the mathematics. Thank you, sir. Nirmal Shah. We'll talk about this again in the later part of the session. Thank you and welcome. We'll come on to the next round. I won't call it as question round. A very precise 1 to 2 minutes answer will be needing. Request is over there. Coming up to the first question, I'll come up to Abhishek, sir. Abhishek, sir, I'd like to know your views on the saying that mathematics is not about numbers. It is about understanding.
Technically, it's not about numbers and formulas. It's much more, because now it's a so practical subject in terms of problem solving skills or the language skills or the financial skills, memory skills, and it will convert into the critical thinking. So maths is not about, it's a countless practical applications. I am much more in the financial world. So in this particular scenario, I can say mathematics background is much more necessary to prepare the budget or the financial planning If you want to be a teacher, if you want to be an engineer or anything such like that, you can't negate the possibility of going into the financial implications of overall all these things. If I'm talking about Mr. Thaper is heading the institution, but every year he's preparing the budget, and thereafter on the basis of actuals and the forecast and targets, we all people are working. But only mathematics can give us that particular power of the MS Excel sheet, because it's a wonderful a platform in which we can do much more work in comparison to any other platform which is available. But giving that importance to the students, much more practical aspect is needed. And in a part of the journey of the students, we need to give that implication to the students on the practical side, how it's important for the critical thinking and problem solving, rather than just subtracting or division. Or mathematics is not about that. Mathematics is a subject which is so versatile, and you can't be, it's humanities or it's a commerce or some anything you need, because in economics also there's a full of mathematics. Without statistics, all your elections or the political drama is all about statistics, sir. So that is also a part of the mathematics. So mathematics is a much more a practical subject in comparison to any other subject. And in mathematics, English is also there. In mathematics, Hindi is also there. Everything is a part of the mathematics, sir. So that's my stake. It's a much more broader goal of the teachers, and we need to give them much more understanding to the teachers also, of the mathematics teachers also, how important this subject is. This subject is not about the calculation. This subject is the backbone of the life of any student or any person who wanting to live a graceful life in future.
Amazing, sir. Perfectly right, you are, sir. Because it has been seen that all the subjects are compared along with the mathematics. Mathematics is entirely different. And according to you, whatever you say, it is right that every subject is based on mathematics. If mathematics is not there, none of the subject can survive properly or truly. Thank you so much, sir. Next, we'll come up to Amrita ma'am. Amrita ma'am, it is often seen that mathematics is regarded as the most difficult subject, especially during middle school. How can this misconception can be removed according to you?
Okay, I think Nirmal ji ko mera answer bilkul regular lagega because kal hi suna hai. So I would start with myself as a student. I was always considered very poor at math. It was a subject I genuinely did not like as a student, and I, the minute I could, I dropped it and I moved on to other things. Language was my mainstay, and I continued with all sorts of art and language and drama and those kind of things. That was my thing. But when I became a teacher, and I was going around schools doing these workshops, not myself, but I was doing the translation bit for Mr. Lawton, Bob Barata Lawton, who is a renowned math expert and from the US, and he was in India, and we were going to these very, very rural belt schools. So we needed to, talk in Hindi and so on. So I was doing that bit for him. During conversations, I ended up discussing with him that, I've always been really bad at maths, and no, I don't like it. He had his manipulatives and his things that he was using for the workshops, and he used some, and he had some discussions with me in his own way and made me do certain things using those manipulatives. And at the end of all that, told me that you could solve this problem. Now you could solve this one too. You could solve that too. I was getting amazed too, and so was he, just trying to tell me, you were never bad at mathematics. You have the ability to reason very well, and you have the ability to apply logic, and you've been able to apply that logic quite appropriately. Basic number operations you're fine at. So there is nothing about you which makes you not good at mathematics. It's just about the way we teach it. All he had done was concretize concepts for me. Now I was an adult. It wasn't part of the curriculum. There was no pressure. And it was just a casual conversation. But a lot of the concepts that had not really been something that I'd been able to do as a person, as a student in school, I was now suddenly, after years and years, very easily able to do. So this is what it is. And so many people before me have already said it is not about number operations. It is about reason and logic. And that's exactly what, and then my Montessori training beyond that then taught me a lot more how to concretize every single concept. So even when we are doing numeracy, it's not about letting children, it's about spatial understanding. It's about, as Sir said, lots of financial understanding. It's about time, understanding of time and concepts. These are concepts all around us, everywhere. But how maths is taught is, okay, we've learned counting now. So we've learned counting means, this child came to me once, grade 1, and the parents were like, okay, he can count till 1,000. वो एक rat race चलती है parents में, अभी और जल्दी ये भी कर लेंगे और जल्दी वो भी सिखा देंगे. उस एज में खास तौर पे कुछ साल पहले तो कुछ ज्यादा ही चलती थी, अभी थोड़ा thankfully कम हुई है. All I said was, he knows to count till 1,000. I said, ठीक है, 10 तक तो आते ही है ना. So I said, ये है just any shape that I could find उस समय वहां पे. And I said, okay, how many sides does this have? And this child said, yes, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 was his answer. Now, counting actually to nahi aaya na usko. He's learned it by rote, but he's not understood the concept at all. That clarity isn't there because the idea of counting isn't clear. But yes, he can recount the numbers for us. He can, rattle it out by rote. But similarly, when I ask any math teacher, when I now interview teachers and I ask any math teacher, any level they may be teaching, I just ask them, okay, you do know 2-digit multiplication, right? And I just make them solve one little 2-digit multiplication sum in front of me. And I ask a very simple question. ये जो, अपने second line में जब second number आपने multiply किया, you put this multiplication sign, or you call it a cross, or some people put zeros, whatever, or some people leave it blank. You left that space. Why did you do that? 99% of the times the response is because this is how it is supposed to be, because this is what it's done, because this is how I was taught. End of story. I try a lot of ways. I give clues and ideas and I make them think. It takes a very long while for people to understand it is something so basic. Teachers who've been teaching for years and years haven't really understood this, and children don't, obviously. These children are able to do certain things till grade 5 when concepts are relatively simple. It's a lot of number operations and very basic things that we are dealing with. The minute they start getting complicated because the basics are not clear, because foundational skills in mathematics are not really there, while children are, in terms of marks, doing well. So marks is fine, but that's not learning. And we really need to separate the two. Mathematics is about reasoning. Mathematics is about encouraging inquisitiveness, is about being able to adapt, actually, if you look at it in multiple ways. And all that is, and the agility in things and how problems can be solved, all the concepts that we are talking about yet. Yes, it can result into critical thinking skills and problem solving and so on. It just is a subject that naturally offers itself to all of this. But if we let it, there is so much of jargon in a regular mathematics lesson. So every time it's a regular mathematics lesson, I get a feeling that so many big words are being used and simple things are not being discussed. So right. That, I think, makes it so complicated. Teachers also get some sort of joy maybe in, I'm a maths teacher, this is a difficult subject, so yeah. Even more jargon.
Ma'am,
middle school
we can say this also, that if you take an example, a hawker comes, a small child with a hawker comes and he's a greengrocer, and you say him to give this 250 grams and give this half kg and give this 750 grams and this thing 1 kg. Within a minute, he'll calculate and tell you. While when a student is doing this, he'll apply the formula. So here basically what you want to say, I'm understanding, is that we are all dependent upon the formulas, upon the learning. we cannot say we are learning maths. Maths is never about learning. It's all about understanding. So that practical approach is not with the teachers, whatever you are saying. I'm teaching mathematics from last 3 decades. How can you teach me mathematics? I'm expert in that. But very simple questions when you're asking. I had been an accountancy teacher, very logical things I've been asking to the teachers when I've been interviewing. Again, the 99%, they were going up with the formulas. They were not going on the, the concept, the practical concept. Like when we did our BA, when we were doing a BA, we learned nothing. But practically, when we came into teaching, we came to know this is actually about the BA. So it is like mathematics is a subject where you have to make it understandable instead of learning it. This is to be done, and why this is to be done, and this why is clear. This is the most of the mathematics teacher we feel, or you all might be feeling. This is not happening with the teachers. They feel whatever the traditional methods we are teaching till now from last 2 or 3 decades, that should go on, and this will not work with the students of this present era. I hope, ma'am.
Isn't that true for every subject now?
Of course, ma'am. Amrita, ma'am. What I feel is playway method is not now in pre-primary. Playway method should be from PG to grade 12. What I feel is, because you have a playway method for all the subjects, even in history also, it is a very boring subject. If you make it very interesting, making the students, act for every king you're talking about, you make it more interesting. Everything can be made interesting, but it should always be a playway method in all the classes, what I feel, from PG to grade 12. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. We'll come up to Thaper sir. Thaper sir, how does technology helps in making maths more easy and interesting? Sir, you're on mute. Yeah.
Thank you, Saruppreet. It was wonderful listening to Amrita ma'am and Priyanka ma'am. Priyanka ma'am, I would like to know about Ruskin Bond also, whether you met him there or not.
Yes, I did meet him in Missouri.
I was just waiting that you will.
But there in school, I especially went, and there's a very famous bookshop there, English Book Depot.
Yeah, where he sits to sign the book.
He signs, and we had a lovely dialogue. And the sun there is a little different, and it's magical. It's absolutely magical.
Great. It was wonderful listening to you, and would look forward to listening to you more often.
Connecting, yes, sir. We'd love to connect.
Well, as Amrita ma'am has said, that we need to focus on understanding part of it. This is what even I felt. Technology surely helps in all the subjects. Like if history is also taught through these modules, when we show the sites of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, things become very interesting and easy for the children. So technology, apart from technology also, there are very simple things that a teacher can use with the students to teach various concepts. Like, for example, when I used to interact with students of classes 3 and 4, when they come to my chamber or when I go to their class, I talk to them about what is an area, what is the perimeter. And they know the formulas. Well, area kya hai? Length into breadth hai, agar jo bhi hai. Or perimeter kya hai? L2 plus W2, they will tell me. But where is the perimeter? Like when I show them a paper slab, I tell them, where is the perimeter? You show me. They're not able to. Where is the area on this? Please show me. They're not able to. So when we tell them that this is the area, then they understand. Or perimeter also, when you show them this. When I try to, like, suppose if we just tear this paper like this, and then if we ask a question whether the perimeter has increased or decreased, so they are not able to answer. If a teacher can use simple piece of paper also inside the class, they can teach these concepts. At the higher level, when we counsel the children for class 11 admissions, there also I often find that children who are into the brackets of 90%, or during the time of CCE, when they used to come with 10 CGPA. So I always used to get tempted to ask them few questions like, which shape do you find my room to be like? First they will say it's a rectangle. Then they will come to, when I'll just go on insisting, they'll say, sir, it's a cube. it becomes a little difficult for them to even draw. Suppose if I ask them that if you have to keep a longest stick in this room, from which place to which place you will keep. So that they keep on thinking and they're not able to answer. Another question that I ask them is, suppose if I have to fill this room with a very costly liquid in the present condition, how are you going to advise me? So they're not able to visualize the concept of, say, volume. And then I keep on insisting that in the present condition, they give me the formula of volume. Sir, volume खोज देंगे और liquid आप खरीद लीजिएगा. मैंने कहा नहीं, present condition बताओ ना. Then they keep on thinking, and then I have many times I have to tell them that the present furniture, why will you not deduct it, because it's going to be a costly liquid that I'm going to buy. Then they'll say, yes sir, we have to subtract the volume of other things that are there in the room. So these are the concepts with which, if a teacher goes to the class and guides the children, I think their minds will open up. Another question that I ask them is about when I talk to them of physics. Suppose I say, what is a submarine? And then they tell me the difference between submarine and a ship. And then when I ask them, how does the captain of a submarine take it down under the waters? These brilliant ones, those who have got 10 CGPAs and 90% plus brackets, they are unable to answer me that how the captain of a submarine takes it down, and when required, how does he bring it up? So they have to just think about it. I think these kind of questions, if teachers ask in the class and explain to them, they will learn things in much better way.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. A very different and different concept of teaching the students as well as the teachers also. Thank you, sir. We'll come up to Priyanka ma'am now. Priyanka ma'am, it is seen that children, in the middle school, they lose interest in mathematics. So, what are the reasons behind it, according to you?
Okay, Chandhok sir, the reasons are many. These are young adolescents. One, there is something called as maybe accumulation on certain gaps that might happen at times. In case the primary or the foundational mathematics or numerical concepts are not strong. And in the primary, like Amrita ma'am was mentioning, you are a concrete learner. You are more in the pre-operational stage there, if we go by Vygotsky and your the other parts of zone of proximal development, manipulatives and concrete objects. As long as it's concrete, you give it to children or you give it to somebody who doesn't have much knowledge of mathematics, that okay, these are 10 pencils, they will take 10 pencils, count, give one to each. They are able to do these. That means they are able to manage the numbers and make sense of what is required. But the moment you remove the concrete from it and it becomes abstract, it becomes very difficult for children to picture everything in their mind. Those are very few higher order who can self-reflect, who can make connections and connect the dots to make sense out of the mathematics that is coming. I'll start with a very simple and the basic, example of algebra coming in. In geometry, typically, if you analyze the marks of students in the middle years, geometry, they tend to do pretty well. Why? Because they have a compass, they have a ruler, they have a pencil, and this is a shape which they can visualize. It's there before them. So you tell them a triangle, they will make up a figure which has 3 sides. Yes, scalene, isosceles, etc. Yes, the terminology also has to connect. So that shared vision between the teacher and the student, many times there is a transmission loss due to different barriers. Now, what can these barriers be? One, language barrier. You do teach mathematics through language, yes. If the teacher is using the right language, she is neither very high up on the pedestal, nor is she severely lacking in the vocabulary, and she connects and come to the student's level. The connections are, or the neurons are fired, and the understanding starts to develop. That is one. Second, in case the children are already carrying gaps, they do not know what the number sense is. They know the number as a picture. They can draw it. That's like copywriting. But do they know what a unit means, what a 10 means, what a 100 means, how it quantifies out there? Where if the dean's blocks or if technology is showing to them that, okay, this is a unit, a tiny square. And when you have these 10 squares, clubbed together to make a vertical column, it's turning into a tens. And if a 10 by 10 matrix of those 10 squares is there, you have 100. So that quantification settles in the mind that, okay, otherwise rank number 1 is supposed to be the best, but between a 1, 10 and 100, the value of 1 is the least. Yes, everybody is vying for rank 1 and top team, etc. But when you look into the quantification value, 1 is the least and 100 is the most out there. So how do we get that message across to the children so the children understand it exactly as it is meant to be? Also, do we leave sufficient time that the child can extrapolate and take it beyond? Because mathematics is nothing but patterns. You have to recognize those patterns around them. If computers can work on simple binary operations of a 0 and 1 out there, mathematics is patterns all around us. You have a poetry and there's a pattern which is there of language happening, and you have something which is a beautiful piece which is happening. You have a piece where you give beautiful symmetry to a face, symmetry to certain objects, and beauty emerges in design element of architecture out there. That's also mathematics. So we are surrounded by mathematics. Love it or not love it, you can't do without mathematics. So one, we have to get that message across to our teachers, to our students, and to our parents, that here mathematics is one of the basic skills necessary to survive in this life. You may choose to study it up till 10th or an 8th with the kind of system that we are coming across, but you will continue to use it till your last breath, because you're managing time, you're managing your money, you're looking whether your investment is compounding or not, whether that value is coming with the investment you have made, or is inflation eating into what money you are earning and it's going away and you're left with a lesser worth than what you had. So there's depreciation which is happening again. Again, to connect the dots here, the value has to come with a deep conviction from the teacher who loves the subject. I have seen teachers who've loved it as a subject give that love of the subject to the children. Yes, across all. And it should not be simply a task or a responsibility that we are shouldering. I met a wonderful mathematics trainer and a mentor who works with tribals in Gujarat. And he took, at that point of time, the manipulatives he took was the soda water bottle caps. I'm sure each one of us here is of a generation where we collected those soda bottle caps. They had certain prices also, like what you may have now in the packet of chips, etc. And he amazingly taught the concept of odd and even with those soda bottle caps. And we were seated on a sand covered, this thing, and 40 degrees plus temperature, and it was just the courtyard of a building there. Now, if you have those kinds of teachers, you can teach calculus even seated out there. But it does help that we bring concrete examples. It does help when we make children do a little bit of research. The best mathematics 2 chapters that I recall, and I had fantastic teachers, was my grade 7 teacher asking us all students to research. And I'm talking about 87, 90 out there on stocks. What is the face value, etc. And we gave the chapter and we taught the chapter in the whole class there. I still remember that chapter. Those stocks is not something which was of interest to me at that point of time, but I opened the newspapers that were coming. Newspapers were prized possessions in joint families, because you had one morning, the elders got it and the youngest babies got it last in the evening. So you looked at them that what does it mean out there? Mobiles were not there. The stock market was not getting discussed on a daily basis. You did not have apps to take care of them, but there were numbers there, and those numbers were painting a picture about certain things, and that is what excited. And now I still take a great deal of interest in stocks and how the stock market is moving, because of that one teacher in grade 7 who took the effort to reach across to children to tell them that you can do it. Otherwise, we would have taken ki stocks to badon ka kaam hai, ye hamara nahi hai.
Obviously,
But at this moment, if you are not invested in SIPs, etc., then you are not making as much wealth as you can create there. So we have in schools have to now learn. You have to connect the dots looking backward, so that here we create a history which is a stronger history. We make it known to our students how this will help when they know the purpose, that this will make me wealthy, it will make me stronger. Their alignment to the subject is better. Yes, nobody told us why we are doing what we are doing. So that purpose, that's why when CBSE and NCERT come, learning objectives, and then we map with learning outcomes, that what have we achieved. So the classroom teaching has become more meaningful. It connects with real life. Yes. Now again, the other part that I have to share, the gaps may be there from previous classes. So that pre-assessment, that diagnostic every teacher has to do with every section that comes to us when we are teaching in the middle classes. What do they know? Are they knowing more, or are they knowing some areas which I need to cement? And also an effort to make the connections with real life. Yes, there are going to be enablers, and the same enablers can be big distractors. We have gaming, which is big time on, but what if a child is there allowed to game for 30 minutes with a concept which is building on profit and loss? Or you have Farmville and Animalville, which are talking about how to raise pets and other part, because not everybody can afford to have a real pet. So at least have the virtual experience, you're able to take care of them, get a real one then. So here, these things are very important. Now, next part, technology has been the lifeline of education during the pandemic. At a lot of time, our school systems or the education world were trying to filter it out, look at it as a threat, which was normal. So many times when we don't understand some things, we take it as a threat when you do a SWOT analysis. Yes. So we would say that mobiles and gadgets should not come to schools. Yes, because a security breach can happen. Why were we not allowing them in the schools? Now look at that. Anybody who did not have a digital device or the internet or the bandwidth did lose out big time during the pandemic when we were seated at a distance. So that technology has to be used in the right manner. Like the example or the analogy of a knife in the hands of the surgeon, you are saving lives, but in the hands of unscrupulous elements, there is a threat there. So we have to use things in balance. Like Gautam Buddha over there, you have to use, madhyam mark hame apnana hai. We can't be in extremes that the old world was always the good world, or the other extreme that technology is everything and without technology life will not survive. No, both will not work in today's day and age. We have to connect in real time at the same point of time. You have to blend it in the right manner with technology there. So if you have a calculus or a 3-dimensional or a metaverse which helps you immerse there, so that the student understands the concept, okay, there's an x-axis, there's a y-axis, there's a z-axis also, which is possible, because on paper the children get to see an x and y. Where does the z go? Is there every teacher like my math teacher who told me, look at the corner of the room there, you have an x-axis, you have a y-axis, and you have a z-axis, tell me where is it? Grade 11, first chapter, before she took on calculus and we were doing ellipses and parabolas and whatnot. A wonderful way to take, we were young girls out there, and she stimulated our interest. The corner of the room where you have the vertices and you have the length and the breadth and the height meeting, you have a 3-dimensional coordinate geometry system in every real-time class. But how many of you have been told this before? You are being told the 3D of coordinate geometry. Yes. So these are the things that we need to bring. It should not remain the privilege of an exclusive few. It should go to every child of ours who has the right to education there. So we have mathematics and use it in real life. Yes.
Yeah, obviously, ma'am. And your words should reach to all the mathematics students across the country or across the globe. Of course, you can take up the class and teach what is parameter, what is area. Even the class only, you don't have to move out. Everything can be taught there. But how practically you are teaching it, that is more important with the mathematics teacher. Thank you, ma'am. Nirmal sir, will come up to you. You have heard all the eminent guests with us, Abhishek sir, Amrita ma'am, and Priyanka ma'am. So there are so many things that, you are talking about, that how the previous concept should be cleared, how the present concept should be clear practically. Gamification should be there because children, they get bored up very often. So how this is happening, as well as the things when you're giving them gadgets. Earlier, we were saying before pandemic that gadgets should not be given. Now we are giving them a gadget. Better take this mobile, take this laptop or PC, and you study over there. So how is your Countingwell app helping the students to recall or making interesting how they are learning it, how the bridging of the gap is being done, sir?
Sure. So before I start, first of all, I would like to say that the picture that Priyanka ma'am has been painting of Dehradun, I think very soon we will shift from Bangalore to Dehradun. And we'll probably end up making our app more creative.
Equally pretty, but do save the trees of Bangalore there. The country should not eat them up. I was there over the weekend there for an award ceremony. It's a beautiful city, fantastic people out there, and you have lovely flora and fauna all across there.
At this time of the year, it is really beautiful out here.
I'll just add, I am also from Dehradun and Mussoorie, so a lot in common, which I just now discovered between Priyanka ma'am and me.
Oh, great, Amrita ma'am. I did not know that. Wonderful. And I have to thank Chandhok sir for connecting us. Thaper sir, who's bringing us back to me out there. And Amrita ma'am and Nirmal Shah sir. Yes? Great.
Nirmal sir.
So now to answer your question. So I will start with one point that Amrita ma'am made, which was very, very important, though it doesn't really appear so much in teaching pedagogy itself, is that she said that I started liking maths when I had a casual conversation, right? In the classroom, the conversations are formal. The whole setting is formal. And because of that formal setting, what happens is that the children are always slightly intimidated, right? One is the intimidation of getting something wrong. The second is, of course, that the teacher is always watching me and my other friends are also watching me. And I think that creating that casual environment for learning is very, very important. And jo aap bata rahe ho ki, earlier parents were saying that don't give the gadgets to children. Now they're saying, le lo bhai, tum pad lo, right? And that gadget is helping create that casual environment for the child. So the ideal blend is that whatever is being taught in that formal environment of the classroom, can we then reinforce that in a casual environment in some form of a casual conversation? Now, sometimes the child goes to the tuition teacher or the parents get involved, and there the conversations are slightly more casual. And the same thing we are trying to now replicate in the app, where we teach the child in a conversational way, right? So instead of simply saying that here is a video and here is another teacher with a blackboard trying to tell you something in a very, very formal way, can we make it casual? So can we say that we will ask you a question, we will show you a samosa and say that, can you see a shape here? Right now, that's casual. So we start creating that kind of a casual learning environment for the child. And the second thing that we do is also make it clear to the child and also to the parent that we will limit the amount of time that the child spends on the app. So how do we create that kind of a setup for the child as well? So for example, one of the things which we have done is we create something called a 20-minute workout. So today you will spend only 20 minutes on the Countingwell app. And in those 20 minutes, you will learn 3 or 4 small things, which is enough. We don't want you to cram too many things. We want you to learn a few things. Just achieve that learning objective. That is more than enough for today. 20 minute के से ज़्यादा आप अपना gadget use नहीं करोगे, give it back to your parents or do whatever else that you want to do. We will meet your attention span, and at the same time, we will always achieve something new. Some new learning will come to you. And if we are able to do that, like I said, in that casual environment, then that's fantastic for the child, right? So that's what we are trying to achieve by creating this kind of an app where the environment is easy for the child. There is a limit to which the amount of time that the child spends on the app. At the same time, the learning is always progressing. So I hope that answers your question.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, it's a very wonderful thing. Even the Nirmal sir, I was thinking over that when you are sitting in a class as a every student, what we say, if you're asking any question to the teacher, I'm not able to understand, the rest of the class will make fun of you. You don't know anything. You're very dull. You're dumb, this and that. Because of that fear, also many children, most of the children, they feel very bad. Correct. They feel very bad. This will happen. So I will not ask the teacher again. But when it comes to, something like this, apps like this, Countingwell, when they'll get back home, They can go into the app whenever they are in good mood. They want to study at 8 in the night or say 11 o'clock in the night. This is one-to-one teaching. You told me earlier also that when the answer will be wrong, so that will be not in front of the whole class. The app will tell you here you're wrong and this is the concept which should be clear with you. So one-to-one, when you are getting that and you are learning from the app at the evening and coming back again next day to the school, that gap is being bridged and you are equally, you're equal to the class.
Exactly.
Like we say that there are 3 to 4 toppers in a 30 or 40 class. It won't happen like this. It will happen that the very next day. We have seen that the children who are good at mathematics, they are always good at all the other subjects. I feel this as an educator, that when mathematics में आप अच्छे हो तो बाकी subjects में आप अपने आप अच्छे हो जाओगे, because your mind works, or frequently your nerves work so frequently that when you are using this, otherwise also in other subjects also the brain will work so fast. Do you agree, Nirmal sir?
Very, very true, sir. In fact, see, the other thing is also that when we make the child do this, right? जैसे आप बता रहे हो कि वो on his own he's learning. So one, we are creating a self-learner. We are giving that ability to the child to learn by himself and believe that he can learn by himself, right? That confidence has to come. So when they see that I've learned this small thing today, tomorrow I will learn something more, tomorrow I'll learn something more, then that confidence starts building. The second thing is that without the child knowing, we are able to create a report which the teacher can see the next day कि इस बच्चे को ये नहीं आता है. Though the child did not himself go and say कि I don't know this or I did not understand this, now the teacher has got this tool, right? So that way we are able to add that value to the classroom and to the teacher as well, and say that these are the things that your children have not learned. You might not know that because the children are not standing up and saying that, or you don't have the time to ask every child individually. A 40-minute period or 1 hour period में आप कितना पूछोगे, or how much will you teach, right? So then we are able to do that. So that bridging of that gap, if it happens on a more periodic basis rather than end of the term, then we are able to deliver that much learning much better to the child as well, right? From the school perspective as well as individually from the child as well.
The most important thing is confidence building is confidence building is there, everything can be achieved.
Exactly. The child can become a self-learner. तो जो आप बता रहे हो,
for sure, right?
मुझे लगता है मैं मैथ्स में अच्छा हूँ तो मैं सब सब्जेक्ट में अच्छा बन जाऊँ.
Of course. Thank you, sir. We are in short of time, and I request for the next round to all the participants to give only a 1-minute answer. I'll come up to Amrita ma'am. Amrita ma'am, it is often seen that children try to learn mathematics instead of understanding it. What are your suggestions to the teachers? That how should they teach? In a minute. Your answer.
Very quickly, in a minute, mistakes are a good thing, not a bad thing, as you just said. And in the classroom, we have to build that as a culture. The other thing that everybody has reiterated in different ways is that maths is all about thinking. And it's about mathematical thinking and asking thinking questions in the classroom and building that culture where children can genuinely reflect and think. And so that culture, not just for maths, but for every kind of learning of every subject, particularly science and maths, we have to create. So those thinking questions, and maths is the language of data, the story that data can tell, like she studied with stocks, that story. And then that language of mathematics has to be understood by children. And that we have to bring into our classrooms. That's the way to learn maths.
Right, yes, right, ma'am. Thank you, amazing, ma'am. Thank you. Abhishek, sir, we were talking about that children, they learn mathematics. Right now, we were talking that a vendor is coming up. He's calculating everything. He's illiterate. Within a minute, he's telling how much amount you have to pay. But when children are doing up with their mathematics, they're trying to apply the formulas. So what are your suggestions when children try to learn mathematics instead of understanding? Your suggestions to the teachers?
It must be hands-on, because Jodo Gyan, as Nirmal is also suggesting one of the app, we will go through that particular app, but technically it's a hands-on experience, and the teacher must be and linked it with the story. Then the interest will come. Otherwise, it's very difficult after a certain stage to have interest in mathematics. So my suggestion is to class more interactive, experiential learning, and seamless class must be possible if there are ample of hands-on activities and linked with the storytelling. That's all.
Amazing, sir. And what you want to say is that nobody can replace a teacher, But apps like Countingwell or another app, they can be a tool to teach.
Yes.
Teachers cannot be replaced for sure.
Yeah.
And teachers have to make it very interesting, whatever tools they're using with. Thank you, sir. We'll come up to Sukhwan sir, Thaper sir. Thaper sir is saying that technology is a tool with the help of which teachers can become smarter and thus provide smart learning. What are your views on this, sir?
So it's true that if the teacher is able to use the technology, he or she is surely going to deliver his or her lessons in a better way. But then too much of anything is also bad. There's one saying that we had learned when we were children. My mother used to say this, "Tume hath katora aaya, pani pee pee, teda fraya." So we used to ask her what is the meaning of this, and she explained that if like a child came across a bowl, and when the child asked his mother what is to be done with this, she said one has to drink water with it. And पानी पी पी टेड अफराया, पंजाबी में टेड को मतलब उसने इतना पानी पी लिया उससे कि उसका पेट एकदम फटने के पास आ गया. तो हमें कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए कि मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी है तो उसको हम सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी से ही पढ़ाएं. I always tell my teachers that go to the class with better preparation outside the classroom, and once you are there, deliver your lessons in the best possible way. And as far as the gadgets that the children are having in their hands now, we have to guide them. The power of choice God has given us, which they need to implement. As Stephen Covey has said, he speaks about three great powers that God has given all of us. Power of choice, power of intelligence, and power of conscience. So we need to guide the children to use these three for their benefits. And I would say that Nirmal ji has taken up these applications for classes 6, 7, 8. It's nice. Up till class, in the lower classes, when you talk to a child, which is your favorite subject? Majority of them say maths. But when they go to higher classes, it changes because they don't score in that. So this is one fact that I wanted to share. And I think it was a wonderful opportunity to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Priyanka, ma'am, your views on the same thing, ma'am. Teachers should become smarter with the technology.
Yes.
And teaching smartly.
Over there, Chandhok sir, you know, a teacher's life has a lot of responsibility and work there. Her intelligence, her energy has to focus on the classroom transaction. Yes, she's a transactional leader also in the class there. And the tools that come with technology can take away a lot of mundane away from the life of a teacher and unlock that energy which goes in unnecessary correction or the same example being repeated 5 times because 5 different children were absent on different days and she's doing that same question as a problem again and again, especially for mathematics. You know, her time in the class is like precious currency where she has to focus on developing the concept and higher order problem solving, reasoning and logic development. What the technology gives is that extra practice to the children. Apart from what the boundary of the classroom are, it gives teacher the infinite power to work with children where they will be able to practice without fear of any mockery or fear of failure. They will have an analysis which comes for them at a drop of a hat that, okay, up till step 1, 2, 3, you were okay. Step 4 is where you need to improve on. So they are able to learn at their own pace and at their own convenience. Some may be having that time at 6 p.m. in the evening, another may have that time at 8 p.m. because the parent is also sitting with them and they have the time and the inclination and they're making the choice to be there. So why limit the potential of the child or a teacher because we are only, you know, going to focus on what I can do? Why not add technology, add the power of the school and the collective, you know, intelligence of human beings to take this on ahead. So here you have a classroom beyond the walls of the classroom, and that's where technology steps in. And if we have, you know, empowered students, the teacher is automatically empowered there. Automated corrections are there to take away that, we carried, chunks of notebooks all the time for correction. Now, if the children are attempting all those things, logging in, you have their time pattern, and that data which comes through technology is very valuable for principals to make decisions out here, backed with informed, choices, not just, throwing a dart in the dark that maybe it will hit or it will miss. When that data comes back to the teacher, when that comes back to the principal out there, we can make so many changes down the chain so that all the energy and all the focus is truly on students and student success. That's it.
Perfect, ma'am. Perfect. You're absolutely right, ma'am. I second with the thought, because teacher is not able to give so much time in a 40 minutes class. She cannot look out for all these children, and she cannot know even how the performance is, which subject or which particular chapter or which particular topic the child is not able to do. With the help of tools like apps like this, Countingwell and all, the child can recover himself without any notion, without any hesitation, because he is working one-to-one with the app. And when he comes back again to the school, he is always perfect with the topic he had left with, and or it's not understandable to him. Perfectly, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Nirmal sir, you have heard again in this round from all the participants that mathematics is like, it's like, something a burden with the students, because they are not able to understand, like ma'am also said, sir also said, that during class 5, the best subject is mathematics. And in 6th, 7th, 8th, and the middle school, it becomes a burden, and so further on, because in 6th, 7th, 8th, this will be carried on. If this is carried on well with 6th, 7th, 8th, obviously the children will love. Yesterday, last week only, when we had a session, I had Indu Sharma man had been there. She told my son took mathematics in grade 11th. He took commerce, so he was being told that he had to take mathematics. So in precise, I'll tell you that before the board examination, he got a teacher for 2 months. And that teacher was coming one day in a week, and he got somewhere around 99 or 100% in the subject. So when you get a very good teacher, a very perfect teacher who is able to make the mass understanding, as well as now, like in our times, we were not having these type of tools, no mobiles, nothing was over there. And now, like Nirmal sir has introduced up with so many good things, like Countingwell, there the teacher also get helps. He also comes to know. Nirmal sir, please tell how the teachers are getting help from this. How are they coming up, moving from the traditional teaching to the this 21st century teaching? Because Nirmal sir, we have seen as a principals and administrator that children don't want to pick up their books. They don't want to shuffle their pages, but they want to do the learning. How is this happening with Countingwell, sir?
So I will link this with something else. Throughout this conversation, we have been, and especially this whole conversation has been around mathematics. We have been referring to the student as a he, right? We including me, I never said she, but and that is a kind of mindset that we have. When it's maths, then it's boys. When it's maybe sciences or something else, then it's girls. In reality, that's not the fact, right? Technology can bridge this kind of gap as well, because technology does not go with that mindset. Who is in front of me? Is that a boy or a girl? Is that a boy coming from an educated family or an uneducated family? I think that is another very important aspect of technology, that it does not differentiate. It becomes inclusive. It brings children to the same stage, irrespective of what their background is and where they come from. And that is what we have been able to achieve with Countingwell. In fact, last year we had about 75,000 students who have used the app, and we have the research data on that as to how they have been learning and how they have been performing. And one of the things that we found was that the gender gap has actually reduced. We have about 55% of our students coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and the gap of the performance in maths is hardly 2 or 3%. Now, why is that happening? Because technology has been able to bring them to the same level. So I think that that we are able to empower the teachers in a certain way. And we all know that every teacher is not the same. We hope and we wish that every teacher is stellar, but not all teachers come from the same background. Not all teachers come from the same kind of learning as well. So we cannot find that all teachers would be equally capable. So technology can bridge that gap as well. Something like Countingwell, when it brings a report to the teacher and says that these are the learning gaps which you don't have either the experience or the time to identify, we have been able to do that for you. We can even help structure the learning plan for the child and then let the child take over. So now technology becomes your friend. It does not become your competitor. It does not become something separate from you. It becomes a part of your tool set in the classroom. So that way we are able to make it a level field for the teachers, and we are able to make it a level field for the children. So I think that's what I would like to end my story and my experience with.
Amazing, sir, amazing. And hopefully this is a very wonderful app which will be helping the students a lot with all the schools and Pan India. All the best to you, sir. Coming on to the last part, I think Priyanka ma'am, if you are there, and Amrita ma'am, you are there. Yeah, Amrita ma'am, yeah. Amrita ma'am, please, yeah. We are up to the end of the session somewhat, last 5 minutes. Ma'am, we have introduced up with a very surprise round, one more round, that all the participants who are coming up to the session, they have to sing 2 lines. It may be traditional, it may be filmy, it may be, patriotic, anything can be sung. And I think Thaper sir will start up with this. Sir, you should be the leader today. By that time, Priyanka ma'am and Amrita ma'am will also think over what they have to sing. Only 2 lines, because as we always say, that we never grow above 18, because we are the age group of 3 to 18 throughout the day. So we will never grow up above 18. And there's a child in ourselves, as well as when you are putting up your teachers in the Children's Day or Teachers Day, pushing them to the stage to do something for the kids. So this is what we are going to do over here, ma'am. Thaper sir. Sir, you are on mute, sir. Priyanka ma'am, you are not going anywhere, ma'am.
Thank you, Chaturvedi. And I may exceed 2 lines, if you allow me.
Sir, you are singing, you're not saying.
Okay.
You are saying in your blogs every day, sir.
I'll try to. I'll share with you the lines of Sheikh Faridji, which are included in Guru Granth Sahib. He talks of that we are all mitti. So he says, Vek Farida mitti khulli mitti utte mitti dulli mitti hasse mitti rove ant mitti da mitti hove. In the end, we all turn into clay. From the clay we come and we become clay. This is what Faridji is saying. He says, Na kar bandaya meri meri, na e teri, na e meri. Char dina da mela duniya, फिर मिट्टी दी बन गई ढेरी. We are here only for 4 days. Life is very short, and in the end, we all shall turn into clay. ना कर इत्थे हेरा फेरी, मिट्टी नाल ना तू धोखा कर. जिससे हम धोखा कर रहे हैं वो भी मिट्टी का ही बना है, हम भी मिट्टी के बने हैं. सो फरीदजी इज सेइंग, मिट्टी नाल ना तू धोखा कर, ओ भी मिट्टी तू भी मिट्टी. एंड इन द एंड फरीदजी टॉक्स अबाउट द जात पात. किसकी जात ऊंची, किसकी जात नीची है. कहते हैं, जात पात दी गल ना कर तू, जात भी मिट्टी पात भी मिट्टी. जात सिर्फ खुदा दी उच्ची, बाकी सब कुछ Mitti, Mitti.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. Sir, incidents I remember when Krishna and Sudama, they were very small and they came to know that Krishna is a king. He went away to Gokul.
Sir.
And when they grew up, तो सुदामा व्याकुल हुए, उन्होंने कहा कि मैं कृष्ण से मिलने जाना चाहता हूँ. तो गुरुजी ने कहा बिल्कुल जाओ. वो पैदल चलते गए गोकुल पहुंच गए. He said, how will I recognize him? तो गुरु said that जिसके सर पे चक्र होगा वही कृष्ण होगा. When he went to Gokul after walking so many days, when he went there, somebody's funeral was going on, cremation was going on, and when he went there, he saw कि सबके सिर के ऊपर चक्र था. He got amazed कि यार परेशान हो गए, क्या हो गया. तो he said, Guruji, what is this? तो he said, wait. तो क्रिमेशन के बाद जैसे ही लोग बाहर आते चले गए, उनके सर से चक्र गायब होता चला गया. एक के सर के चक्र बचा था, वो थे कृष्ण, भगवान थे. उन्हीं की सबसे ऊंची जात थी. So it is just like with the human, when they are going for cremation of anyone and seeing the bodies burned over there, they say that we won't do anything, we don't do anything. As soon as they come out with the, just putting up some drops of water on them, and they're coming out, they are again starting up with all this thing that they're doing fraud, they're doing this, they're doing that. Even they know, okay, sir, sab kuch mitti hai. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll come up to Amrita ma'am now.
इसके बाद क्या गा सकते हैं? Sir has actually done wonders. It was beautiful, absolutely amazing. Such wonderful poetry, and जिस तरीके से आपने फटाफट गाया है अच्छे से.
Thank you, ma'am.
He's very versatile, ma'am. But
थापर सर ने हम सब के बिहाफ पे गा दिया. इसको कोई नहीं.
Ma'am, absolutely. You have to give your own test, your exam in your life.
थापर सर ने हम सबको पास करा दिया सर.
When you are pushing up your teachers on the Teachers' Day or Children's Day and going to perform, this is the karma. Now you have caught up now over here, and you have to perform now. You can't go away with that without singing, ma'am. Amrita ma'am.
Okay.
And before we wrap up, Sir Preetji, please share the numbers of all others.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Look forward to connecting.
Yes, definitely looking forward to that.
Amrita ma'am, you are a leader.
अब आपने टेस्ट पे डाल दिया तो करना ही है फिर.
बिल्कुल.
A little ghazal I tend to listen. हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी पे हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमां, लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. निकलना खुद से आदम का सुनते आए हैं, लेकिन बस इतना जानते हैं हम, वो जाता था कि हम निकले. हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Amazing. My all-time favorite ghazal, Mirza Ghalib. Mirza Ghalib, all-time favorite. Sung by Jagjit Singh, I think.
Professionals hai.
Ma'am, this is happening from few sessions. I have started this, and I am going to Indian Idol that they should start up a show with only the participation of the managements and the principals. सिर्फ वही participate कर सकते हैं.
Got talent, yes.
Ma'am, all the principals and the managements, they are what I call our genies. They are all-rounders and genies with a smiling face, with all the stakeholders, always smiling face. And we get inspired by people like you and Amrita ma'am and Thaper sir, that we always call you all to inspire us. So ma'am, your inspiration should be there, Priyanka ma'am, now with a song. You can't escape.
I hardly ever sing, literally, and I'm not good at it at all.
You just ask right now, Amrita ma'am. You just ask Amrita ma'am कि आपने कितने साल के बाद गाना गाया है?
नहीं, बहुत रियाज किया है उनका, दिख रहा है।
नहीं रियाज नहीं, ये टैलेंट है, ये हिडन टैलेंट है ये मैम,
मैम गायत्री
आज बाहर आ रहा है।
गायत्री मंत्र हो जाए मैम।
यहाँ पर नहीं, एक और प्रेयर है विच इज वेरी क्लोज टू माय हार्ट, क्योंकि आफ्टरनून असेंबली में हमारे बच्चों का, पहले आफ्टरनून असेंबलीज यूज्ड टू बी chaotic एंड अ ड्रेन ऑन एनर्जी, और जब से हमने इस प्रेयर को आफ्टरनून में करा, वी गेट गूज बम्प्स। तो उसका फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ आई वोंट सिंग एज मच बिकॉज आई डोंट नो आप सुन पाएंगे
मैम ओनली 2 लाइंस, नो इश्यूज मैम।
So I'll just, I'm not, anyway, it is simply like this. मन उसी की करो प्रार्थना, मन उसी की करो प्रार्थना, जिसने जीवन दिया, जिसने दी आत्मा, जो है संसार में सबका परमात्मा, मन उसी की करो प्रार्थना। Just that much out there. आपने बोला तो हमने कर दिया।
Thank you.
नहीं था, गाना नहीं, but anyway, प्रार्थना तो है, and it was, sir, I think Thaper sir, that was beautiful what you sang out there.
Thank you.
Really it touched the chords there, and thank you. Yeah.
Thaper sir is multi-talented, he is super talented.
Yes, yes.
If you will see his vlogs, the religious vlogs he's talking about, I mean, you'll always have goosebumps when you listen to that, you see to that. मतलब इतना बढ़िया बोलते हैं, इतना बढ़िया what you say वाख्यान करते हैं, amazing. And that too, see, we have seen in Granth Sahib also, we have seen people, you know, doing the Vyakhan in Hindi or Punjabi. He's doing it in English. I mean, in every, I mean, he's Gita. If you talk about Gita, he equally knows about the Gita also, and all the religious books. I don't know how much time he has given to this, and how, you know, he started up this year only with the when pandemic came in. Many of us, we started in pandemic. Me also started up in pandemic, that we should come together close to all the people and know people like you and so Thaper sir and Amrita ma'am. Thanks to technology for this. Nirmal sir, something has to come from your side also, sir.
Sir, I have a standing request कि मुझे हमेशा last में बुलाइएगा, because after this people will run away. But
I've done that already, Nirmal sir. आप बैठ के रहे, हम अच्छे, you'll be better than me. Don't worry, I'm first from last year.
but I will say this now.
And you will.
मैं गाऊंगा सर, जब आप promise करो कि मेरे बाद आप भी गाओगे. आप सबसे गाना गाते हो.
Put him in the dock.
सर मुझे रोज गाना पड़ेगा सर, इतने मेरे गाने खत्म हो गए सर.
आज एक बार तो हो जाए सर, please.
सर आप पहले start करिए please.
ठीक है. So I will sing a Gujarati song. I'm Gujarati, so you know. And it's I'm sure that everybody will recognize this when I start, but I'll sing only 2 lines because I can't go beyond that. Vaishnava jan to tene kahiye, peedh parai jane re. Vaishnava jan to tene kahiye, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे. पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए, मन अभिमान न आने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे. Thank you.
Good.
Shall we end up now?
They're from Sabarmati.
अभिषेक सर चले गए, उनका ड्यू रह गया.
Abhishek sir had to go somewhere. So he has to go somewhere.
तो उनका ड्यू रह गया, उनको कहिएगा कुछ बना के हम लोग के साथ में व्हाट्सएप करेंगे फिर.
Sure sir, he'll sing up and we'll add up in the video. In the
Amrita
recording.
ma'am, where were you in Dehradun and which year?
So when the partition happened, my grandfather moved to Mussoorie.
Oh.
So the family has been there since.
Which place? Because my mother grew up in Mussoorie, and that was just a little far off from Picture Palace there. What would the family's name? Yeah? Landor. Because my grandfather was the postmaster there at that point of time. So we have fond memories of Mussoorie. Dehradun and Mussoorie are like almost one community at that point of time.
Yeah.
But I'll exchange the numbers.
In Haridwar. People move here and there.
But Landor is still beautiful. It's not got concretized.
Yeah, that is true. And in fact, for me, I've always gone there as a child for all summer breaks and winter breaks, because my father was in this transferable job. So we were always all over the country, here and there. But every break was in Was-
because the real Mussoorie is towards that side. The tourists get to see only the mall road,
Yeah.
which is as good as Delhi's, Janpat out there. The real Mussoorie is towards those sides.
It
There.
is Landor.
Yeah, Landor.
We saw the Mall Road and Kempty Falls.
So
The
that is
festival-
where Raskin Bond stays, Landor.
Landlord. He's got a lovely cottage or bungalow, whatever you call it, the old colonial one. Lovely place. And you will have to walk because some places still don't have, there are वो उसको पगडंडी जिसको बोलते हैं वहां पर चल करके access आता है. You don't have motorways in those areas. And if you
Sir,
the incline is very steep.
Thaper sir, Kempty Fall is the worst place over there. I had seen that. I mean, how the shopkeepers, they are, वो झाड़ू लगाते हैं, वो सारा कचरा उसके अंदर जा रहा है, and
Oh.
people are going for the Kempty Fall. I'm like, what the hell is going on over here? And the
So
people
sad.
are dying to come over here.
तो जब हम बच्चे होते थे तब इतना बुरा नहीं था. आई थिंक इतना कमर्शियलाइज नहीं था, थोड़ा
I'm
नेचुरल
seeing
था.
that all the vendors वो झाड़ू
They
मारते
have
हैं,
a
सारा
lot of
कचरा नीचे
lovely
उसके
walks,
Kempty
yes.
Falls में.
I had gone there as a group leader of 40 students. I had taken them from, we had gone to Haridwar to participate in inter-DPS festival.
Okay.
And from there, I spoke to my principal, took permission and took them to Dehradun and Mussoorie.
Yes.
DPS to keep on organizing, sir, because when I had been the part of DPS, so we had too many places. Like we went for DPS Dwarka for 2 days, 3 days training also.
Yeah, that's the core school, and you have the
That's the core
training
school.
wing here only. You must
Vinita
come
Kher
over
ma'am
our
had
school,
been-
just stone's throw from the DPS work.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope all of you have enjoyed. And I mean, we have shared the ideas also, and
Lovely.
hope to see you again in another session. Thank you, Thaper sir.
So wishing
Thank you,
you
Amrita
all
ma'am.
a happy Holi.
Yes.
Play safe.
Same to you. Too. Hope you had a, from tomorrow, I think we have holidays, or tomorrow schools are open, ma'am. Amrita ma'am.
We are
Schools are
working
closed.
results.
Day after 2 days of holiday for
We are
children.
working.
Thank God we are in UP, ma'am. Thank God we are in UP and we're getting more of the holidays as compared to the other places. We have Ganga Mela also, ma'am.
We have a holiday.
Yeah,
We
my
have
children
Ganga
had
Mela
the
also in
last
Kanpur.
exam today, so they had to have,
Okay.
and I wanted to finish before Holi so that they could
Right.
have, a nice Holi.
Nice, Holi, right.
Everybody a very happy Holi.
A very
Same to you, ma'am.
happy
Priyanka ma'am.
Yeah.
Amrita ma'am. Nirmal
enrichment.
sir.
Bye. Bye-bye.
And Sukhwant sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.